Yeah, I think still so far.
Yeah.
Down whatever.
That's 10,500. And then where do I untransfer? I just want to get it done and then transfer it back.
You have to go to sorry,
No worries. I feel that.
Hi Akitunde. I'm just going to add the guy that does the social media because the webinar is you guys can't speak the way it's set up, which is good. But you can hear me. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just put us on WhatsApp instead because you guys can't speak. It's fine. Hi everyone. I hope you're all doing good today. Thank you for joining, and thank you for bearing with us while we try to get more people on the webinar before we started. I can see a few couple of people have joined the call. Welcome Oluwadamilare. Welcome Oluwabukola. I'm sure if I decide to go through each person's name, we would be here for a lot longer. I'm just going to give it you 1 minute or so, and then we would just crack on. Right, so welcome everybody. Can you put in the comments or the chat box if everything is fine and the sound is okay? Just double checking that before we continue. And you can also do reactions as well, just to say that you're fine with you can hear me properly, because I can hear a bit of echo. Oh, brilliant. Thank you. I can see thumbs up saying that you can hear me okay. Okay, brilliant. It's fine to always sort out the tech first. So lovely. All right. Thank you everybody for joining this webinar. I know that you guys have invested your time, and time is what more than money, to be honest, because you can't get it back. So well done for investing this time in this webinar. I'm hoping that the next couple of hours is really productive, and that we all leave here feeling more enriched, and we also leave here feeling like we have more direction. So I'm just going to speak quickly around the flow of the session. The webinar is basically meant to cover the steps around becoming a project management professional. But to do that, we wouldn't do it justice if we didn't talk a little bit around what project management is about. So in terms of the flow and the agenda, I'm basically going to start around talking about myself. I won't say much because you can read my bio when you have your own time. That's not what we're here for. So I'll just say a little bit about myself. And then I'll speak about the organization that has put all this together. I'll talk about the Accelerate Academy as well. So the Accelerate Academy is the training arm of this. And I'll tell you what the training is about if you wanted to get trained in project management, what the process is. After walking you through that, I would then move on to just sharing key dates we have ahead. So we have a few events for this quarter. We have the academy. I think once a month we have a different cohort, and we've got a few free webinars as well. So we just share those dates for your own awareness. And after we move away from sharing the dates, we then go right into why we're here, which is to talk around project management. What is it to go into project management? What is a project? We'll run through that. We'll also run through the project life cycle, because that's quite key for you to understand, what a project management professional does. We'll then speak about roles within project management, so that you guys can also be able to start to, it will enable you start to map and identify where you're best placed, because project management on its own is quite wide, and there's several opportunities within project management that I want to open our minds to this evening. So we'll go through the roles within project management. At the back of doing that, we would then go into the step-by-step what to do, what to do to get into to become a project management professional. I'm going to say that this webinar wouldn't let you be able to comment verbally, but I want to make it as interactive as possible. So please put your questions into the chat. I have a few couple of lovely people on here that would be putting their eyes on the chat section for any questions. Right, okay. So this is I'm a little behind with this chat. I'm just seeing this chat saying I'm a little confused. Am I in the right place? You are in the right place. And if that was sent at 6:03, I would just assume that you're fine now, because you can hear you can hear my voice and we've started this session. All right, so we'll just crack right on. I was going to ask just very quickly, how is everybody feeling this evening? If you can put you can put comments into the chat box as well around how you're feeling. It could be, I'm feeling really excited. I'm excited. I said this year excited, and I'm going to remain excited. I'm going to continue with that energy. So what's your energy levels? How are you feeling? I'd like to see comments around that. Are we generally feeling? I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling quite motivated as well. So happy to know how everybody else is feeling. I'm just going to pause for okay, I can see a raised hand. Isiaq, I don't think I know. Okay, so there's no more raised hands. Okay, that's fine. But Isiaq, if you have a question, or Isaac, I don't know if I've pronounced it properly, pardon me. If you have any questions, please just type it in the chat, the Q&A option, and then I'll be able to answer. Oh, brilliant. I'm seeing loads now. I'm saying I'm motivated. I'm feeling happy and grateful. I'm excited and looking forward to getting into the world of PM. Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. Keep it coming. Thank you for your comments. Absolutely happy to see that you're excited about the new chapter. It's not a lot of times I meet people that say they're excited about going to something new. Isaac, I still have your hands up. Is that a lagging hand? I just want to be sure that you will find. Can you put in the chat box if you need any support, and there'll be someone that would be happy to reach out to you. Okay, all right. Right. Okay. So a bit about me. For those that know me, they know that I've got a background in law. So I used to be a lawyer in another life. I practiced law for a while in Nigeria before I moved here. And when I moved here, I was presented with leaving something I'd done for most of my life and moving into another, another space. Now, because I did an MBA, it was easier to be open to looking into other things because the MBA just opened me up into the world of management, project management, and all of that. But then I did have my own anxiety around moving into something completely new and different. So when you think about me being a lawyer and a solicitor, I'm used to being an advocate for people, going to courts, being able to go through policies and legal detail, and being able to challenge it when things are not going according to the law. I was also used to putting together documents, conveyance documents, legal documents. And in my head, I was thinking, what kind of skills do I have that I can transfer to project management? I was quite surprised that actually there's loads of transferable skills from what I'd done before to project management. So I'm going to go through that with you guys tonight. There's a lot of people that are working in roles where they've got transferable skills. And with project management, they're just key transferable skills that you would have and you can just build on that would help you in your project management journey. So talking about myself, I came here, got into project management, and I've been a project management consultant now I've been working within project management for nearly 10 years. I've worked mostly within private sector. I've worked mostly within the banking sector. I always tell people that that's where the money is, financial services. And so I've worked there a lot. Recently, I said to work also in public sector, just to have an idea of, how it's been done outside the private sector. And also because it gave me this feel of being part of something bigger in terms of working with the public sector. So now I have that well-rounded experience of both public and private sector. And so outside of my own career life, I also do this thing that I have a passion for, which is just sharing people on to get into project management, because for many of you this evening, I walked through your own journey 10 years ago, and I know that it is quite the journey when you don't have direction. So I've been quite passionate about just supporting people and helping people through the actualization of, I want to go into project management, until when it becomes a reality. So that's something I'm very, very, I'm very, very keen about, and I owe dear to my heart. So that's really quickly about me. You can read all of the details about me at your own, at slow time. I was going to say, if you can stay away from distractions and just try and stay in a quiet area, that would benefit you, so that you don't miss key details. Right. So straight on to what we do. So Ariel is a training organization. We basically train people, and we're quite niche. So we train people within the project management field. So we train people in project management, and the key people that we've had to support, and we've been quite privileged to hold their hands through this journey, has been, new graduates. We've also had a lot of people that have changed careers, come through the journey with us. And basically, we've had a lot of people also. There are people that have taken a break, so career break, long career breaks, coming back into work is always daunting. There's a bit of support needed with coaching and just cheering the person on, and we do all of that. We train, we coach, we mentor, We walk you through the interviewing process, give you feedback around how well you're doing at interview. We have mock interviews and all that, and we just support you. We also do the CV writing support. And with CV writing, for me, CV writing is an art rather than we craft your CV, because there's a lot put into your CV that makes it marketable and that makes it churn responses and interviews. Where your CV isn't churning interviews, then the CV needs to be reviewed. So we do all that with you. And that's really what we do at Ariel Lyric Training. Now I'm going to talk about the key highlights of all of this is the Accelerate Academy program. So what's the Accelerate program? Now, the Accelerate program, the academy would interest you if you are someone that's looking to move into project management and you've got a timeline you're working with. So you're saying, okay, in 2024, I want to move into project management and I'm looking to have landed my first job by summer. You know, people that are quite sure about what they want are the kind of people that come on to the Accelerate Academy program. And what does this academy entail? The academy is basically 5 weeks of intense training. It's full Saturdays for the 5 weeks consecutively. And during those 5 weeks, we go through everything about project management, from, what is project management to the project management methodologies. And the project management methodologies are basically the guiding principles of project management. They basically, so where you have a Bible as a Christian, within project management, you have methodologies that kind of give you guidance and direction around how you do your job. So that's what we go through. We go through the methodology, we go through the life cycle, and we go through the different functions within project management. Please bear with me. Right. So talking about the Accelerate Academy program, I've kind of spoken around what we do with the 5 weeks. We do a lot of practical and interactive learning. The training is very hands-on. You would get involved in a lot of presentations, discussions, real life scenarios, so that it helps you to relate to project management. So you can have project management as a theory. So it's different when you read project management in the textbook, and it's different when you are able to talk about project management in an applicable way, in a way that someone that is been in the field would be able to do that. That's where we want to get you for interview. Because when you go for interviews, they don't ask you what is agile methodology. They don't really ask those kind of questions. And when they ask you, they're not just looking for you to answer give a textbook answer. They want you to bring it to life with something practical. So we get you into that frame of mind of understanding project management on a practical level. So when we go through the 5 weeks training, at the back of the training, when we're done with that, we're also working on your CV as well, to make sure that your CV is at the right quality. So we go through a few iterations and then we launch the CV. Once the CVs go live, then it starts to get requests for interviews, and we support you throughout the process. So you finish the training, you're still getting the post-training support. I think that's the key. The key highlight of the academy is really the support that you get after the training. I mean, I know that, you can get trained. It's easier to get trained than to get continuous support after a program. But I think what is quite key to me is to make sure that whilst we're training you. We're also giving you the support as you walk through the journey, right? So I would just, I would just skip all this because I imagine that you can go through it at your own time. But I was going to say that oh yeah, I'm just going through the chats now, and I can see there are a few questions. What we are going to do about the questions is that we would be just making a note of the questions, and we would answer the questions at the end of the session when we have the Q&A. I'm just going back to the Accelerate Academy program. This just shows the timeline of what to expect and by when. I was going to say, I know there's Talkware on here. If you don't mind just sharing the link to the brochure and the course outline on the chat so that people can get to read up the detail at their own pace. It'll be really helpful if you could share those two links, the brochure and the course outline. Okay, so just moving on. I'm not going to go through each slide. That's not my intention. But we're going to go through all the the almost boring stuff first, and then we'll go through the fun stuff afterwards. So just on the screen now is the events we have for this quarter. We've got a few events here and there, this being the first one of them. In terms of the Accelerate Academy itself, our first cohort for this year is going to start in February. So just bear the dates in mind if you were interested. But as we go along, we would speak through all of this, but these are just dates for your awareness. We've got a few sessions where we've got mock interviews. I think that's more targeted at people that have, they've gone through the academy, and they're ready, their CVs are ready, they've got interviews pending, and interviews are ahead rather, and we're just supporting them with that. Okay, so I'm just also checking that I'm not missing any comments, but I imagine that there's a lot of people that are on here. So we've got a couple of people. I don't know if their names would come up. We've got Tokwe, we've got Tayo, we've got Lola Day, and we've got Akitunde. And they would be replying and supporting as much on the chat with your questions and what have you. Thank you so much, Tokwe, for sharing the link to the brochure. I think we are going to be sharing the brochure as well as the course outline, so you can see the detail of what you're going to go through when you join the academy. Yeah, there are a few really lovely questions here, but if you guys just put your questions, please, we would collate it for the Q&A session. That would be really great. All right, so cracking on, straight on to what is project management. When we talk about project management, what comes to your mind? I've got a chessboard here. I imagine, when you think of project management, you're thinking of chess, or at least I'm thinking of chess. I'm thinking of being strategic, being analytical, preempting what is going to happen ahead of it happening. That's what project management is about, really. And in terms of the detail or textbook definition is all on the board. But what I'll simply say about project management is basically an activity that involves starting something that has an end date. So remember the specifics. The thing has to have an end date. You're starting an activity that has an objective. So there's a key goal that needs to be achieved. And you start activities that include starting it and ending it. But within the time you start it, you also need to make sure that you're planning everything around that project. Outside of planning as well, you are actually delivering what you set out to do. So project management is a mix of that planning, organizing, and putting things together to ensure that the objective of the project is achieved at the end of the project. So there's no way we can talk about project management without talking about projects. What is a project? Can you guys just put in the chat box what you think about when you think about a project? When I think about a project, I could think different things. What do you guys think when you're thinking about the project? Do you think a project is like business as usual, where you just okay, so I'm hearing someone say my voice is breaking. Is that sorry, Philippa, you can't see the link to the brochure. Can you help me to reach out to Philippa and just see if you can get the brochure to her? Thank you. So someone says when she thinks of project, she thinks of maths calculation. Oluwadamilare, you said my voice is breaking. Now I want to be sure if that's for everybody. Is my voice breaking? Just to be sure, so that we're sure that the audio is good. Is my voice breaking for everybody? I've got a cold, so that might be part of why I kept saying, the devil is a liar. This webinar is going to happen. So that might be part of why my voice is breaking. So please bear with me. But is there anybody else that's like Oluwadamilare that my voice seems to be breaking? Okay, I can see people saying they can hear me clearly. So I think Oluwadamilare, if you okay. Oh, brilliant. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks, Tope, and thank you, Inkem. So my voice is clear. Brilliant. Tope, there are a few people that would like to get the brochure. If you just see if you can reach out to them. I know you've shared it, but I'm not sure if they've all seen it. Some people have, some people haven't. It'll be really, really helpful. Thank you. Right. Okay. So let's just crack on. We're talking about what you think. Okay, I like that, Eunice. You said a project involves stakeholders. Brilliant. A project is a sequence of activities carried out to create a unique product. Yes, it is. Bukola, you sound like you already know this project management. I hope you're already in the field because you've answered it in a very projecty way. When you think about a project, Gloria, you are thinking about improving or introducing a new product or process. Absolutely. When you're thinking about a project, you're thinking of change. You are changing things that are existing, and it's either bringing mostly an improvement. So a project would usually be a new product or a new process, or even a people change. You want to change the culture in the organization. Maybe you have a culture where people do not collaborate, and you want to do a culture change around that. then you start that as a project. Now, a project is something that is not business as usual. It's not ongoing. A project has a start date and end date. That's one key thing about a project, right? If we don't take away anything around what a project is, let's take away that. Someone else said a project comprises of a series of tasks which require a defined timeline, aim, and goal. Yes, technically you can answer it like that, but I would try and stay away from trying to say that it comprises of a series of tasks because it goes beyond that. Yes, it does. It does comprise a series of tasks, but these tasks are not just tasks; they're actually core activities that determine whether the project will be successful. So I like that answer. I would just tweak it a little bit, you know, for interview purposes, so that I do not get the communication of it. I don't get people receiving it in a different way. So absolutely, it requires a timeline. A project is always time bound. Unlike business as usual that is continuous, a project is always timeline. So we have Anonymous who wants to have the brochure as well. So I think what I'll do is just make a note. I'll make a note about the brochure. Don't worry, guys. After the webinar, we'll share out some materials as well, and that would include the link to the brochure, so you'll be able to access it. But we'll keep sharing. Oh, thank you. There's someone else has shared the brochure. We'll keep sharing it throughout this webinar. Right. So we go back to saying that project management is definitely the hands-on management of projects. And we've agreed that a project is something that is not your ordinary everyday activity. It's something unique. You want to bring a change. You want to provide a new product. You want to improve your existing services. So with projects, you're looking at bringing in something new, something unique. You're looking at it being temporal. So if a project is meant to be continuous for a long amount of time, it's not a project. A project would usually have a lifespan of, a short project, probably 2 to 3 months. A long project, you have projects that run for about 5 years. It will usually have a start and end date. It will usually be temporal, so that when the project has been delivered, is disbanded. Any activity that doesn't end up being disbanded is BAU. So that's how I want you guys to think about it. So key qualities of a project is it has a start date, it has an end date, it has core objectives it needs to deliver. I think I need a cup of tea. Thank you. Thank you so much. So guys, just FYI, I think there's something going around, and I've been quite lucky not to catch it. For the last couple of days, I've just been, basically trying to make sure that I was good and sound for all of you guys to hear me properly and benefit from this. So thanks for bearing with me. I've got a cup of tea here, so that should help. Okay, so going back. Right. So going back to the key things we said around the project, we said it's got a start date, it's got an end date, it's temporal, it's, you have a project is a temporary thing. It's not a continuous thing. It has objectives, and a project always has benefits. So why are we doing this project? it would always have benefits that it will always have benefits that's aligned to it. So I think I've covered this already, but I'll just reiterate again that a project would definitely have benefits that is meant to deliver. What when we finish this project, what do we want people to say that has changed as a result of this project? So, like someone alluded to or someone commented, a project has includes having a project would have tasks that need to be completed. Out of those tasks, each task would have deliverables. So deliverables is the result of the task. Out of the deliverables, uh, all of the completion of the deliverables would the completion of the deliverables would basically confirm if the project has got a successful outcome. So if we have several deliverables within a project, collectively, the successful completion of those deliverables would impact the final outcome of the project. So with projects, always think of the life, the time boundness of it. So that's one core thing. It's always time bound, it's always unique. And another core thing about projects is with projects, whilst there's a project, there's always some key elements that impact the project. And those elements are constant in all the different methodologies. They change, they vary, but there are certain elements they call project drivers. Project drivers are basically things that impact a project negatively or positively. Now, to start a project, just like for you to start any of your own personal projects in life, right? You want to get your mortgage. It involves money, right? You want to start a project. I've spoken about the fact that projects are always time bound. So time affects a project as well, because a project is time bound, time is always something that impacts the project negatively or positively. So if a project starts and the project cannot be completed by the date that it's set to finish, then it can impact the project negatively. And so that is time as a project driver. Another core project driver is scope. What is scope? Scope is basically what you've come together to agree to provide for your client. So let's say we have a project for a web design, a web redesign, right? Your scope would be, what would be in scope would be all what you've put in the requirements for the web designer. So you have things like, oh, I want an AI. I want AI included in my web page. I want a chatbot. I want e-commerce. All those kind of things are part of what what you agree with your clients should be included as part of the deliverables, and that will form the scope of the project. Now, guys, I just want to double check that you're following me. Let me know in the comments section what you think a project isn't. Just give examples. Do you think a wedding event, like not a marriage or a wedding now, do you think a wedding is a project? Do you think planning to host a charity event, do you think that could be a project? Give me examples of what you think should be a project and what you think isn't a project. I'm just looking through the chat box for your answers.
Okay. So I've seen a few people say a wedding is a project. Eunice, I like that. Miriam, you've said a wedding is an event in your opinion. Why do you think it's not a project? Just tell me, following what we just discussed, why do you think a wedding isn't a project? So I'm looking out for Miriam's reply. A wedding is a project. It has a start date and it has the end date and it has things that need to be delivered to arrive at a successful wedding. Absolutely, Kim, I agree with that. Going to the market, is that a project or is that business as usual? I would say going to the market is business as usual because you do that every time, and there's nothing so unique about going to the market, is there? Campaign planning is a project. Well done, Appy. Campaign planning is a project. Because you are planning towards a unique item, which is the campaign, and you are putting everything in to make that campaign successful. Well done, Gloria. Building a house is a project. A wedding event is a project. Thank you, Akitunde. A wedding is a process. Oluwadamilare, why do you think it's a process? Because when we look at the key features of a project, we've said that it has a start date and end date. A project is not a process, right? A process has a thing where it's continuous. If you notice, processes are something that are almost business as usual. They are operational. That's why within project management, we have processes. Because even if we have a project for 5 years, we have to have processes that help us with working. So a project is not a wedding is not a process. It is actually a project. I would like to know why you think is a process so that I can help you kind of understand what a project is. Yes, Bukola, you said a wedding is a project. Absolutely, well done. So you guys have really said what you think a project is. What do you think a project isn't? I think only Tayo has mentioned that a project definitely isn't, what do you call it? A project isn't going to the market. What do you think a project isn't? A project to me isn't indefinite, no start date, no end date. It's not a one-man band thing. It would involve different resources and pulling different skills together. It's not creating the same things. It's something unique you're bringing on board. A project isn't something that doesn't have any drivers that impact it. So if something has no cost to it, no budget, if it has no cost to it, no budget, guys, you bear with me, please. I'm just going to take breaks in between two. I'm not breaks, but I'm just going to go quiet just so that I can get my nasal, all this place is congested, and I think that sometimes impacts my speech. But I'm happy everybody's following me. I'm really, really pleased about that. What's that thing on the internet now? No grief for anybody, no grief for anybody. I'm not grieving for anybody this year. I'm not grieving for anybody, and that's why, against all odds, and even if I wasn't feeling it 100%, we had to have this webinar. So thank you guys for joining. So a project is not, give me examples of what a project isn't, because I basically think going to the market every day is not a project. Waking up every day is not a project. Hilda has said a project is collaborative. It is. You have to be leveraging a mix of skills. Going out to eat with family isn't a project. Thank you, Akitunde. Annalisa said that if something is part of your routine, it's not a project. I absolutely agree with you. And so I think we all kind of have a really good understanding of what a project is, what a project isn't. Going to school or workplace isn't a project. Ajala, you are very on point with that. Absolutely. So now we kind of know what a project is, right? And we know what project management is. Now I want us to have just a really quick light bulb moment. I call this light bulb moment because it's your time of just quick critical thinking and revelation as well. Just have a think what you've done in your past life. in your past roles, because some of you on this call are career changes. Some of you on this call are people that have gone to uni, and have just graduated. What have you done in your past life that you think, actually I've done projects? Because now when I think about it, I think about myself, my previous self when I was a solicitor before I got into project management. And I'm saying, oh, actually, as a solicitor, I managed projects because we had cases that had its start date and end date. We had solicitor tax that involved different elements, and they also had a start date and end date. We had cases that involved a certain amount of money, so that's budget, right? They had a budget, they were time bound, and they were unique. So I can start to piece out the transferable skills I had for my previous role, and I can start to see what skills I can bring on to project management. Right. So I'm going to move on to talking about, so guys just have that quick think, and you can drop in the chat box as well. Have a quick think around what you've done in your previous role or your current role that seems quite similar to project management. I'm quite interested and keen to know. I'm just looking at the chat box for responses coming in. Tosin Obadino, you said visiting a friend is not a project. Absolutely. Planning to have a baby. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean when you say planning to have a baby. Are you trying to say planning to have a baby is a project or is not a project? Oh, thank you so much, Bukola. Raw ginger. Okay. If we got any raw ginger in the house, it will be amazing. I'm just going to ask. I think there's someone else here that would be taking notes on the raw ginger. Please, if you can get me raw ginger, I'll be grateful. But that's crossing fingers. We have raw ginger. And you see the strange thing. Although I've been not on 100% this week, I've been doing well. But today, the code decided to manifest itself. All right, going back, I was saying that in the chat box, I would appreciate seeing responses around what you've done in the past that you can now kind of associate with project management. And I'm seeing some really interesting things here. Some of you have run activities for church. Absolutely. Some of us are really good at church activities, and with church activities they're always time bound, and maybe you're planning your church's Christmas party, you're planning a church convention, running a new product or campaign. Absolutely. For all the entrepreneurs on here, you are project managers already because you've managed project. Grace, you said you coordinated a group walk where you developed an innovative food idea. That is a project, because I'm sure that this idea you're talking about, hold on, I need to double check some things with you, Grace. Now, this coordination of group work, did it involve something that had a start date and end date? Did it involve a driver? Did it involve money? That's the key question. If it did, then it will Right. Okay. I'm switching in between screens, so um, as the pace of the conversation. But I was just saying something, and I didn't know I was speaking on mute. I was saying that we've gone through what a project is, what project management entails, and we've also taken a step back to think around what we are doing currently in our professional lives that aligns to project management. So we're seeing the transferable skills and the opportunity. I'm saying that even in our private lives, we also do project management. In our private lives, some of us have plans to get our mortgage, and we have a start date and end date. We have a budget we are looking at. That would be a project because that's unique and it's not continuous. Another project we might have would be to, let's say, a project in our personal lives. Okay, I have a milestone birthday. I'm going to be 50. And to be 50, I want to plan this event around it. This is my budget. And this is, this is time bound. I have to do it by this time. That would mean that I need a plan. I have to do a lot of planning around it. A core thing, a core activity within project management is planning. That's a core thing. So the kind of people that will make good project managers would be people that love organization, are able to be proactive rather than reactive to things. So you're able to preempt and look ahead of things happening. People that do well within project management are also the people that have very good interpersonal skills. So you're comfortable talking to people, whether senior, junior level. You're happy to carry people along because the key and core part of this is definitely stakeholder management. How you manage the stakeholders. The stakeholders are the people that are impacted by the project's success or failure. We'll not go into that in detail today. In another one of this seminar series, we're going through into that detail. Right, okay, no. This is the slide I'm looking for. So on this slide, it's basically talking about why project management. And I think my question for you guys is, why are you here today? Why have you thought about project management, or why is it something you're considering? I'd like to know, just honestly curious about it. Why project management? I'm just going to be in the chat looking at your answers, and then I'll carry on with the slide. Sometimes the responses are stalled. So I've not seen any responses yet around why are you choosing. So for the people on this call that are quite sure that they want to be project management professionals, why? That's my question. Why do you want to become a project management professional? What's the reason why you've chosen it? Can I get just reactions, a thumbs up if everybody is here and everybody can hear me okay? Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm not sure if the tech is just the one that is stalling us, but I can't see responses around why you're choosing project management. But I'll carry on, but I'll still be looking at the chat, looking out for your responses. I really like to know, why are you choosing project management? Is it that you just want something very lucrative and you're thinking project management is the right thing for me? Or is it that you actually realize that you've done a lot of things that are quite similar to project management and you think that you definitely would do well in project management? what is your driving force? Now, when I moved to project management from, from being a practicing lawyer, the key things that were driving me towards project management was a lot more than it being something that was lucrative. So for me, I wasn't just looking at the fact that, oh, I know project managers and project management professionals basically earn well. I was also looking at a lot of other things that I think that sometimes people really miss to see. Now, if you want to become a project management professional, you need to think about one, not just how much are they paying, and not just about the current demand. You need to do some research around the future demand. Now, in this slide, right, it shows you that there's an estimation that they would need more project professionals by 2027. So there's a demand. If you go to the job boards, Indeed and all that, do your quick search. Put project management, project manager, project analyst, project coordinator. You will see it keeps churning roles because there are roles and there's a demand for it. And that's why when people come to me and they ask for advice around, should I go for project management or should I go for so I've got the ginger. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay. Crossing fingers. Crossing fingers and the ginger does the trick. Okay, so going back quickly to why do you want to become a project management professional? All right, I can see people's comments now. I demand Oluwadamilare. Samuel, I'm now seeing your comments now. So I think the comments come in staggered. I don't know. Maybe I'm the one not scrolling down enough. Okay, now I'm seeing comments. You like the flexibility. Tosin, you just want to change your career. I understand you want to change your career, but I think in terms of changing your career, what are the options you've looked at and what do you prefer? Happy says, because it relates to your transferable skills from the past. Absolutely. Work-life balance is a key thing. Gloria, apparently the money is good. You like money. All right. Absolutely. Girl after my heart. We all have to like money. I think at the end of the day, we're all working towards financial stability, progression, and all of that. So why is project management a good profession to think to select or to want to do? You work well with people, you have a gift with managing people, and that's a really good thing because as a project manager, you're dealing with suppliers, you're dealing with your team, you're dealing with senior stakeholders like the managing directors. You have to have that skill of being able to manage them. You have to be able to talk to them. So that's a good skill to deploy. Ajala says that you're considering project management for career improvement. Bukola, you want to leave academia and go back to the industry. That's lovely because I've seen that happen. I've seen people. So I know a doctor that left medicine and surgery and went into lecturing. And so I'm not also surprised when I see lecturers want to leave the classroom and move into something else. Obviously, being a career changer myself, I always tell people that staying in one career for your whole lifetime is a bit boring because I feel like there's there's so much more to life, and it's not how far, it's how well. So if I get to a point of my career or my life where I'm no more enjoying what I do, I would move into something else. And that doesn't show anything else but growth. It doesn't show. So some people think, oh, it's change, and because they view it as change, they're worried about it. I see it as growth, and because I see it as growth, it doesn't worry me. So I want you guys to just put that in mind. So just quickly going back to why being a project manager is the ideal thing. I've already spoken about the fact that there's a demand. There's a demand for project management. A lot of people have transferable skills around project management. Even when you do the audits, you audit your skills and you compare against the skills needed for a project management professional, you'll be surprised. Another key thing that I like about project management and being a project management professional is the fact that there's loads of career advancement opportunities. I'm just going to get some of this. Okay. Right. So we're talking about the career growth opportunities. So when we're talking about career growth within project management, we're not just talking about the trajectory of moving up. And the trajectory is quite upward, right? Because with project management professionals, you start up as project support, you move into project coordinator, or you start off as a project coordinator, you move into a project analyst role, or you start off as a junior project manager, you move into assistant project manager, you then move into project manager, and then you move into senior project manager. So you can see that there's progression all the way. And I think when people come to me for advice around careers, I don't have anything against going to do data analysis, for instance, or cybersecurity. My own core worry, and that's me now, is the career progression of opportunities. Is it like project management where there's a clear trajectory? And not only do you have that trajectory of going up in terms of progression, with project management, there's also a lot of other related roles that you can move into. So you can start as a project management professional and move into program management. You can start as a project management professional and then move into Agile. I don't know if you guys know Agile. Agile is one of the core methodologies of project management. I will cover that in another webinar. You can move into Agile. There's a lot of people that move from project management into product management. You can then even have worked a lot with technical teams and now be confident enough to move to a technical role. But project management is definitely a good place to start if you're a non-techie and you want to work within that technical environment. So I'm just looking at the comments just for me. I always want to make sure that the sessions are very interactive and I can, I can connect with you guys as much as possible. Mariam has said that she's looking to transition into tech and project management seems to be the easily learnable, no coding and all. I get you. It has no coding, that's correct. And I think the minimum requirement technically for project management. Okay. Akitunde Lolade, please, if you can help to just make a note of some of the things in the chat box that are questions as opposed to comments, so that I can answer during the comments Q&A session. That would be really appreciated. So just going back, when you want to make a choice around being a project manager or another profession, just make sure you're thinking around career trajectory or other related career opportunities. So what are the related career opportunities around data analysis? For me, if I was going to make a choice, I'll do a mind map, put project management, put data analysis for instance, or put project management and I'll put business analysis. And then I'll start to map what I'm looking at, career progression. What's the progression opportunities? Or outside of career progression, what are the alternative roles I can do? I would then also look at, okay, what is the average salary within this role? One thing. Another thing to check when you are making that comparison and you're trying to make the decision, because I know some of you are at a place where you're trying to make this decision. I know some people, I've spoken to a lot of people, a lot of consultations where people have needed advice around, should I go for this or that? And I always say it comes out to you, your skill, and it comes out to the fact that you're not just thinking of the role for now, you're thinking about the future, because this is a career you want to build. So you need to look at the future. What's the progression? What's the demand? Some things are currently in demand. So at the moment, there's a bit of a fad, it's trending, cybersecurity, AI. But for me, it's like, how long will these things be trending? So I'd rather be safe, staying somewhere that I know that they will continuously need resources and skills. And within project management, they will continuously need the resources and skills. So I'm just looking through the chat box. Sorry if you just bear with me while I quickly read. I don't want to miss key things. So Apia said something about business analysis. Yeah, there's some people, I would have people here that are aspiring BAs. Now, if you want to become a BA, there's certain key skills you need that would sometimes differ from the skills that a project manager would need. It's just thinking around your skills and how suited you are. Number one is thinking around the future prospects that it presents you. I know one thing about project management that drew me to it was the flexibility, because even before lockdown, I used to work from home, right? So just imagine that work-life balance. What it saved me was childcare, because my child was little then. And the fact that I could work from home some days meant I didn't have to be paid on childcare all days of the week. Or if you have grown-up children, but you just want that work-life balance, it gives you that opportunity, because there's a lot of companies that offer project management roles and your work is hybrid, so that you're only expected to go into the office twice or thrice a month. So being able to work flexibly is a key thing. So quickly, just moving along. Oh, this was just meant to be an interlude for us to just think, if you wanted a superpower, what would your what would your superpower be? What's your personality? I'm trying to see what our personality is like and how it matches with project management. So let's go on to what is a project's life cycle. Can anybody just answer in the chat box what you think about a project's life cycle? What are you thinking when you think about a life cycle? Or let's just say not a project's life cycle, a life cycle. What are you thinking about? Happy said your superpower would be my flexi. You said your superpower would be your flexibility to fit into any space. Okay. Corporate governance. Okay, that we'll pick up that question in Keb. I'm just looking through for superpowers, and I've seen a few answers to that. And isn't it, you said that you feel that a life cycle involves life cycle means stages from beginning to end. Absolutely, I agree with that. Conceptualization of a project life cycle. It can be you saying that a life cycle is planning, starting, process, and planning and end. Okay, that's interesting, because what you've done is you've showed the different parts of a project life cycle, but you've used it. So the sequence of how you've put it, you would usually put the start before the planning phase. We'll go through that very quickly now. Okay, really good answers here. Alicia says project lifecycle involves initiation, planning, execution, and closing. Absolutely. You need to initiate the project to start it, right? A project lifecycle likens to our own life cycle as humans. We start as babies in infancy. From infancy, we move to teenage years. From teenage years, we move to adulthood. From adulthood, we move to seniors, where we are elderly. And so you can liken a project's life cycle to that. Because a project has a start date and end date, it grows as well. A project grows. A project doesn't just start and have all that momentum at once. No, it starts at the beginning of it. Certain activities need to be done at the start of that project. After the start of the project, then they move to the next phase. I'll talk quickly through the phases. So I think we all give really good answers around what is a project life cycle. And it's right here in this slide. It is basically the collection of the different phases within the project's delivery. So different stages of the project, a collection of what is expected to be done in these different, what do we have set for this stage of the project? What do we have set for the next stage of the project? Why it's quite important that we have this is that having the phases and stages helps us to know how the project is maturing, if it's being successful, if it's growing. When you have a child, they give them developmental milestones. Project life cycle is also like their core milestones for the project to see that the project is successful. Oh, we finished the starting phase, we're now in planning phase. We finished planning phase, we're now in execution phase, and so on and so forth. So this slide just shows the picture of what the project life cycle is about. And most of us have spoken about start, initiation, when we start a project. And when you start a project, let's say we're starting a project around mobile banking. A bank wants to start mobile banking. Imagine before you had mobile banking on your device, they set up a project around it. Once they set up a project around it, at the initiation phase, they are thinking around what do they need for this project. They are putting documents together, right? They are kind of mapping out what is needed, what tasks do we need to do, what skills do we need. They're just putting the whole concept together. So someone said something about conceptualization. Let's just say the initiation phase is the conceptualization phase. Thank you so much to the person that suggested the ginger. It really is helping out. Right. So when we move from the initiation phase, we already have an idea of what the concept is. We have an idea of what we need to do. So at the initiation phase is where you don't have a plan yet, but you're just piecing everything together. At the planning phase, for your mobile banking application you're trying to build, then you start to put actual plans of what and by when. Okay, for this mobile banking app we want to do, we need 50 million pounds. For this we want to do, we need to build this mobile banking app to have this both and that feature. This is our budget. We are looking to have delivered this mobile app by 2027, for instance. But then you start to plan ahead. You're planning around the budget, because now you have an idea what the budget is. The budget might still change, but you have a good rough estimate, right? You have an idea of the timeline. So you start to plot against that timeline. Okay, if we want to deliver this in 2027, then we have to have recruited resources by 2024. So you start to plan backwards. Okay, we have an end date, and this is what we have to do by when to meet that end date. After I go through planning, then you go to the execution phase. Now, why am I walking you guys through this? I'm walking you guys through this because this is the core, and this is your bread and butter when you start to work in a project management role. You're walking through all these life cycle phases. And what you need to be very comfortable with is your role and your tasks and your responsibility throughout each role. Whether you're a project manager, a project analyst, or a PMO, project support, project coordinator, is understanding what is needed from you at the different stages of a project's life cycle. When you get to the execution stage, that is where it gets busy, guys. So if you go for interview, you ask questions like, what phase of delivery are you, right? It helps you to know what questions to ask. At least it helps me to know what questions to ask. Because I know that if they're in the execution phase, that's when they are busy. Things are clearer to them. Start to ask questions around, what they're doing at the moment, how mature their processes are. Because at execution stage is when things start to come together. You've done the planning. At the execution stage, you are not sure of how much you'll be spending. You are not sure of if it's quite feasible that you are going to meet the dates that you've put together. Now, the core thing about execution phases is so busy. What's the most important thing is that during the execution phase, there's a lot of monitoring. You have to monitor the money so that it's not spent wrongly. Because within projects, you can't overspend your money. It's just like how people have a wedding and they have a budget of 1 million and they spend 2 million. Now, if they were properly controlling how they spend the money, they wouldn't have gotten to where they got to. In terms of In terms of controls and just monitoring the core project drivers at execution phase, why this is important is if that's not properly monitored, the project would fail. So the core project drivers, scope, cost, time, and there are other project drivers. I've just mentioned a few, but those are the traditional ones, right? If any of these changes, it impacts the quality of the project. So if you change the scope of your project, it might mean that you'll be providing a less you'll be providing a project with a lower quality. Let's say, for instance, for your mobile app, you decide that because you've overspent, you have to make a trade-off. Because you've overspent your money, your budget, you would have to then reduce the items within your scope. So you will say, oh, we're going to take off the chatbot we said we're going to put in the mobile app. We're going to take off this design. You can see how one driver affects the other. So they need to be closely monitored during a project's life cycle. Within a project's life cycle, and especially execution phase, you are monitoring what you've put in the plan. That's the core part of it. So you already have a plan, but now you are monitoring to make sure that you keep to what you've put in the plan. Now, when you've deviated from the plan, you need to start to escalate the issue, because when you are far away from what you've planned, then that shows that you're having some problems. That shows that some issues will start surfacing. For instance, in the plan, you forecasted that you spend 50 million, but you've actually spent 70 million pounds, for instance. Or you forecasted that by the execution phase of the project, you would have spent just 30 million pounds, but by the execution phase of the project, you've spent way more than that. Hence why the tracking is very important. Now, please note that the things at the bottom, stakeholder management, communication, and risk and issue management, is something that you continuously develop throughout the project life cycle. What is risk and issue management? Basically, in life, there's things that might happen to you that might be bad and might impact whatever you are doing, right? Like you're going to become a project manager, there are risks that might happen, or there are issues that have actually happened and they've impacted you. So I know people that wanted to start their journey through moving into project management career, signed up for the Accelerate Academy, and had they had personal issues, issues within their personal life that kind of stalled that journey or project, if you would call it, because some of them had a definite date and they'd invested in the project by paying towards the training. So at the end of the day, these key project drivers are really important. And at execution phase, you want to make sure that you are monitoring it, you're reporting it, so that all of the stakeholders within the project are carried along. You want to ensure that you are reviewing all the associated risks and issues that have come up during the project life cycle. You also want to ensure that all of the stakeholders that are impacted by the project that you are delivering. So a mobile app, your key stakeholders will be external, public, and people within the bank, the different business units, the operational units. You need to inform them how the project is morphing out. You can't just do a project without carrying people along, because a project always impacts others. So that's about the execution phase. Just very quickly in the chat, if you guys can just put your experiences around stakeholder management, because that's a core thing around being a project management professional. stakeholder management. What kind of, what I've noticed about stakeholder management is that in different industries, they call them different things. In some industries, they call them clients. In some other industries, they call them customers, right? So, in your fields that you've worked previously, what have you called, how have you managed stakeholders? Have you managed stakeholders? Have you managed difficult stakeholders? What has been your experience? Because chances are, if you've done a job that involved managing difficult stakeholders, then moving into project management, you wouldn't even struggle at all with dealing with people. I'm just looking at the chat box for your responses. Sorry, just highlighting some of the items of the group chat. Isaac would like to get the link to the group chat. Topper, I think that's the link to the WhatsApp group. So there's a WhatsApp project management group. The intention is to have a community of existing project managers and new project managers. I just try to leverage that. So we're open to grow that group. So if you want a link to the WhatsApp group for project managers, please do join the group. Topper would share the link on here. Yes, you can have a certificate for the attendance of the webinar. Absolutely. I'm just going to make a note of that request. Lolade, I know you are taking on questions. If you can just add this question around having a certificate of attendance for the webinar. I think someone requested that. Okay, thank you. So I can see comments around saying you work well with stakeholders. No, yeah. When you say you work well with stakeholders, what kind of stakeholders are you working with? I just want to see what kind of what stakeholders are like in different industries. Like, okay, Appy, you said you've worked in an advertisement production company, and the stakeholders were the brands. Well done. And they are stakeholders, right? And you need to carry them along with the advertisement, right? You can't go on and advertise without them approving, because they're quite keen to know how their brand is represented. We have another person saying, Gloria. Okay. So Gloria, you're saying as a teacher, you have to update the parents on the children's progress. Absolutely. Gloria, if you're a teacher, you're quite good at this already, because another good thing about project management and stakeholders is being able to be tactical and diplomatic. If you can be diplomatic, and I imagine working in a school with, having to deal with parents, you have to be diplomatic how you tell them about their children's progress. So absolutely. Eunice has said that she would like to join the project management professionals group. I really appreciate if the link can be shared. Akitunde, if you can help with that. The link is all put together for you guys to share with the rest of the webinar. Tosin says you work with stakeholders, you call them customers. So you see, that's what I'm trying to do during this call as well, is try to make you guys to open up to see, like, project management is not as big a deal as you think. It's about mapping out your current transferable skills to project management and learning about it. Okay, let's crack on, because our time is way ahead of us here. Right. So what are the roles within project management? What do you guys think about when you think about roles within project management? I think about a lot of roles. Most times I have people come to me, and when they think about project management, they're just thinking about a project manager. Now, I'll tell you, there are several roles within project management. You could be a project support person. You could be a project coordinator. You could be a scrum master. Business analysts also work within the project management environment, but they're not necessarily heavily involved in projects. They work on the business side. So there are different roles within project management, and that gives you more opportunity to say, oh, actually, within project management, I can choose to become a project coordinator. I can choose to first start as a project support and work my way up. Or no, rather, I want to become a PMO analyst. A PMO is acronym for Project Management Office. I can't go into the detail of this now just because we have so much to go through. But at our next webinar, where we'll be talking about why project management is right for you, I will then go into more detailed analysis around the difference between a core project management role and a business analyst role, or a business, a project management role and, an agile role. I'll go through those differences then. But this is just so that you can see you can see the varied opportunities around project management. Okay. I'm just going back to the chat. Ajala is saying that he's worked with marketing managers, brand managers, market women, and customers. Brilliant. And Bukola, you said you've worked on a strategy project for a bank. Wow, that's impressive. No, you work on a strategy project for a bank, and the stakeholders were the head of strategy. So what you work with C-suite stakeholders. Imagine if we were putting your CV together. That's something what we want to highlight, that you're comfortable with working with the C-suite, because that's a skill on its own, working with those kind of high level stakeholders. All right, quickly. So now we go to the core of today, which is your step to step. What do you want to do to become a project manager? Now, I want to stay away from following slides. Obviously, this material can be shared with whoever is interested. So I'm just going to pause here and just talk through how you become a project manager step by step. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because at this point, we don't need screens. I want you guys to take notes because it's quite important. So I'm going to stop sharing, and all you would have is my pretty face to look at and my mouth to listen. I want you listening to what's coming out of my mouth. All right, brilliant. A lot of people want the WhatsApp group link, and we will be sharing that. Just going through the questions just very quickly, just so that I'm not missing any core things. So the core reason we are here, and I think most people on the call have this very broad knowledge of what project management is. And most people are quite set on why they want to become project management professionals, which is really good. Now, the step-by-step of what you need to do if you want to become a project manager or a project management professional, be it project analysts, project supports, scrum masters. Scrum masters are basically project management professionals within an agile methodology. If you guys can please just put in the chat box around what you, so for some of you, you've already started this journey. what are you doing currently to become a project manager? Because that's always a question I want to know. Some people will say, I've been applying for jobs. What have you done? What has been your first step? I'd like to see that in the chat box, please. Just so that I have a feel of what your journey has been like. Because I've seen people that have started this, some of the things I've listed, but they've not been successful in it. And that probably shows that they're not doing it properly. What have we been doing to get into project management? Just waiting very quickly for it to come through the chat. Okay, quickly, I'm going to see now. Okay, a lot of people want the WhatsApp group link and it is being shared. Thank you so much. Right, okay. I'm just going to put the link to the WhatsApp group again on the chat for everyone to see, because I think some people are getting the WhatsApp link and some people are not getting the WhatsApp link. So I'm just going to put it in the chat for you to see. If you give me just a minute. Yes, I'm just going to share that now. Great stuff. Please, everybody give me a thumbs up as soon as you can all see the link to the WhatsApp group. So we know that everyone has a link to the WhatsApp group. Okay, so one of the people on here said that they've done Prince 2. That's what you've done to try and get into project management. Someone else said they've done a government-funded agile project management course. Well done, and well done for doing Prince 2. No, yeah, that's impressive. I've had a few people that have done Prince 2 and have failed, and they're new to project management. So sometimes I stay away from advising people to do certifications right away. But if you do it right away and you get it right, it's good. But there's one key thing to know. Having a certification in project management wouldn't get you the job. It would help you when you're on the job. It would help you become marketable, but people don't select you at interview. They don't select your CV just because you've got Prince 2. It will be part of their the points they're considering. Your CV needs to be able to reflect that experience, that you've done it. So let's go through the step by step quickly. I hope everybody can see the link. Please just give a thumbs up or a reaction that you now have the link to the WhatsApp group. Someone said they booked a training. No, Gloria, I don't understand. Are you saying you want to book a training, you want to get trained, you want to write your CV? Brilliant. You're writing what you want to do. Well done. Well done. I like that. Looking ahead. But I also want to know what you've done already, or are you just starting this journey? I guess this is targeted at the people that have already started. And some people said they've taken trainings in the past, and a refresher like this helps you to reconnect. Okay, brilliant. Someone said they are volunteering. Tosin, that's a brilliant thing to do. You are doing things in the right direction. Right, so you guys are doing a lot to get into project management. You're doing a lot to go through project management. So Happy cannot see the link or the chat box. Miriam cannot see the link or the chat box. Now, guys, don't worry. We will share out the links at the end of the webinar. We'll share out your email addresses, especially because we can see that some people are able to they're able to see the links and some people cannot. But in terms of seeing the link within the chat, you need to just keep scrolling down and you will see it. So just keep having a play around the chat bar, this chat area, and keep scrolling down. Thank you. You need your volunteering. That's good. Okay, so straight up to what we need to do step by step. to become project management professionals without any experience and without certification. Though you have Prince 2 is good, but if you didn't have Prince 2, can you get into project management? Can you become a project management professional? Can you become a PMO? Can you become a PM? And the answer is yes, definitely, right? Now, what's the first thing you need to be doing is what a lot of you are doing already. You need to be doing a lot of research around project management. What does it, what does the job entail? What's the day in the life of a project management analyst? What's the day in the life of a PMO analyst? What's the day in the life of a project support person? What's the day in the life of a junior project manager? You're meant to be asking yourself these questions. Miriam, okay, I think just a few people say they cannot see the link, but just as advice, keep scrolling down. A few people can see the link and they've joined the group, but you would be sent the link after this session, so you would still be able to join. So going back to the first step, you need to be very curious about knowing about project management. I should expect that you guys are doing a lot of self-study at the moment, watching YouTube videos. There are a lot of good YouTubers to follow, like Mike Clayton, Chris Croft. There are a lot of good material out there on YouTube from really senior project managers, really senior project analysts. There's one woman called Adriana Glider. She's really good. There's influential people. There's a list of it. And if you guys want this particular tips, we can send it to you after the webinar around the kind of things to be looking at and reading and stuff like that. So when you're trying to learn more about the job, you're trying to understand what it entails. You're going through free courses like some of you are already doing. You're joining communities like the project management community that we are building together, and we'll share the WhatsApp with you. You're following people on Instagram. On Instagram, you're not only going to Instagram to see fun things or for laughs. A lot of good people, good professional career people on Instagram. Leverage Instagram. Follow these people. Sometimes they have a lot of good reels. All this kind of what I'm trying to say to you is you basically need different sources of reinforcement in terms of knowledge. So you can't just say, oh, I bought books around project management. No, surround yourself with it. Read books, follow really strong project management professionals on Instagram. Read articles on LinkedIn, attend free courses, just box in knowing about the job so that you know how much is right for you, how much you have a fit to it. You can also identify the things within project management that you need to get more comfortable in. This will really help you with your confidence levels. After the first step, which is just learning about project management, I would suggest that you do a skills audit. When I mean a skills audit, I mean you're basically looking at the skills you have. And I think that's something we have lined up for the next webinar. The next webinar, we'll be able to do something like a workshop style where you guys go through, you go through like a workbook where you have certain skills and you see the skills that are aligned to project management, and you can map out what skills you have against what is required for project management. But you can start doing that now by doing a skills audit. Just write down your skills. Keep it simple. Write down your skills. Write down your experience. And then also write down the skills needed to be a PMO manager, project manager, a project support, project coordinator, and start to match it. Okay, for a project management analyst, you need to be analytical. Or I'm just giving an example. Or you say for a project management analyst, you have to have good communication skills. You write that. In my other role, I used to do comms. You write in project management, you need to be having the ability or the skill of strategic thinking, you write that down, something similar. Or I used to be an events planner and I'm quite good at strategic thinking around this event. You start to map all that experience. If you just give me 1 second, just going to catch my breath. Okay. Even with the ginger, this is relentless, but we're forging ahead. No grief for anybody, even for the flu. We're going on. Right. So we've spoken about first step, we've spoken about second step around doing the skills audit, matching your current, what you're doing currently or your past role against what you did. Please don't forget this. Doing this as well will start to help you with building your CV and putting your CV together. Now, there's something called accidental PM, project management professional. There's some people in your current job, you're probably even doing some bits of project management. So skills audit will help you to see, oh, I'm actually an accidental PM. I'm already doing some of these things that are required. And it helps you to start to piece your CV together. Now, don't forget that, like what we said at the start, you've worked on a project. If you worked on something that has a start date, end date, and you have an expected outcome, you have an objective. So now, another thing I want you to do when you're doing your skills audit is to now think around the project you think you've worked on previously that might not have been labeled a project. Just think about the scope. What was it that you had to deliver? What was involved? What was the deliverable? What were you providing? What was the improvement? What was the scale? That means what was the budget that was involved? What was the number of resources involved? And what was the outcome? Do you get what was the outcome? When was the start time? When was the end time? When you start to think around that, it will help you for interview. Because what I found with career changes is that sometimes people struggle at interview to give project management type scenario answers when they say, give me an example. So what I've done with career changes is I've also told them, I've supported them where I've said, look at what you're doing currently and let's adapt it to project management. So if you go back to your current career, what you've done in your current career or your prior career, we would then adapt it to then use. So for instance, if you work in a customer environment, we would adapt it so that while you're writing about a customer, we are referring to the person as a stakeholder. Do you get? We're using the core project management lingua there. Now, after doing that skills audit, can anybody tell me the next thing they think that you should be doing after you've done the skills audit and you've done the research? What would be your next step? I'm just going to quickly go through the chat to see what we've got in the chat. Right, so is it necessary to have a project management certification? No, you don't need certification. I think I already went through that previously where I said I do not advise people to get certified first. I know people advise differently. if you're strong enough in terms of knowledge, you can give it a go. But I absolutely feel that when you do a practical training first and you've started a few months into the role, then you do a certification. And there's several certifications. So sometimes you don't want to confuse yourself. You want to be sure what certification you want to do. A core one that you must do that would be good for you is always Prince 2. Now, the other certification, you can have a mix of it depending on what particular area you want to narrow down your expertise in. And we'll talk about that when we have more time. I think I would target that for the next webinar. But in terms of this step-by-step of how to do it, first thing would be to do that learning about it. The next thing would be to do the skills audit. And the next thing will be to then, someone said build up missing skills. That's a good one. You can start to look at your skills and see if you can build it up. Match it with a peer profile to produce a suitable CV. You can do that, but now we would have a CV, but we still would have enough to be able to bring it alive at interview. Because you guys have to look at this thing as a process, right? So you have a CV that you've put together, but how do you bring this to life with examples at interview? You know, that's quite key because you have to go through interview to get an offer. So for me, I would say the core thing or an important step that some people miss to do, and then they struggle and they take a longer time to get there. A core thing to do would be to do a practical training. I did this years ago, and that's why I can say that if I didn't do the training, I would have easily gotten offers because I've walked the same paths. Now, what the practical training gives you is structure that you wouldn't have if you're trying to do it all by yourself. Because it'll give you structure of exactly what you should focus on as you're going, because you're going into something new. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with information. There's so much on the internet. You have the risk of now being overwhelmed by too much unnecessary information at the stage of your career growth. If you do not go to a practical training, you do not join a practical training. When I mean practical training, I mean the training where you get people that talk you through project management, not just theoretically, but also practically. What's the day in the life? They give you scenarios. You begin to almost think like a project management professional by just being in that training, because it's not just theory, it's all practical, it's hands-on. Going on the practical training is definitely the next step in terms of my advice. Yes, Cynthia, this is recorded. And then the next step, still around the practical training. Now, if you go for practical training, that's definitely what moves you up. That is what accelerates the process. I know people that don't do practical training, just keep getting all these free materials and keep networking. Now, you could do that, but for me, I think it's the time it takes you to do that, just because you're doing it without the structure, without the guidance, without direction. It takes you longer. So when people come to me, I'm like, there are two options. You can decide to do it all by yourself, self-led, but the pace at which you get your results or get a job will be slower. Now, the 3 reasons why practical training is very important is it helps you to be able to relate to project management. Number 1. Number 2, it gives you the structure that you need going through this journey. And number 3, it gives you the support. Because when you're going through this journey, you want someone you're accountable to. You want someone that is looking out for you, like just walking you through each step. Because the first step is just going through knowing about project management. The next step after that is doing that skills audit. Now you want to actually go through the training. After the training, you want to start writing your CV. You need guidance. I mean, you could end up writing your CV online. You know, it's easy nowadays with the internet. But the fact is, you could be writing a CV that gets you no response. You don't get calls. You don't get nothing. So what's the use of that effort? For me, instead of wasting my time just trying to do it by myself and not getting the traction I want. So for instance, for many of you here, you want to become project managers, please make sure that you have a set objective and a timeline. I want to be a project manager by August this year. I want to have left my current role. If you don't have these timelines, you would literally just slowly crawl into the space you want to go to. As much as I'm advising you, this is advice I've also given myself. When I moved into project management years ago, I was quite set on moving out of what I was doing. And it was a big leap, but I said, oh, I must do this. I must, finish this training and get a job offer. And I did get interviews in 1 week, back to back, and got an offer. But because I had set a timeline to it, and I joined a training, it helped me. It gave me direction. It gave me pointers around interviews, the kind of questions they ask, the kind of appropriate scenarios to give. So that's the key thing that cannot be overlooked. I've already highlighted the other option around this, which is to do it by yourself, but to do it slowly and to take a gamble. Because at the end of the day, it's a gamble. Because when you do it, you are not doing things with you're not doing things with a set target or structure. You're just kind of getting on with things, right? You don't even know if what you're reading is actually what you're meant to be reading. So at the end of the day, just what it does is it wastes your time and it lowers your morale. Because when you do that, you start applying for jobs and you get rejection, it starts to work on you. Do you get what I mean? So what I would suggest is to get on the training. For me, what I've done each year that is quite key is invest in yourself. Guys, we do this where we have a budget for our food. We have a budget for holidays. What's your budget for personal development? Invest in yourself to get to this career you want. Now, that's the third step I've spoken about. And so if we have people on the call that want to move along in this journey to get to becoming a project manager, we have the next Accelerate Academy coming up February, first week in February. I think we're starting on the 3rd. If you're interested in signing up for that, please, please look through the chat. I think they would be sharing an enrollment form. You can enroll for the course, or you can show interest by just signing up the enrollment form. I'll speak about the training in detail once I finish this piece around the step-by-step. But, just shouting out that if if it's something that you've kind of made up your mind even before this call around and you wanted to get onto a practical training, the Accelerate Academy would be a good one to do. Now, after you've done the training, the practical training, the next stage would be now to start to build your resume, your CV, right? There's a lot of things about CV. I can have series and series of sessions around CV, CV writing. A CV is not just a document you do and get it over with. It is your selling point. You need to be reflecting that project management experience. You need to be putting in the key functions within project management. You need to be highlighting the value add, the quantifiable value add. I came to this role and I introduced a process improvement that saved £10,000 for the bank. I got a recognition. You can reflect these things in your CV. So what I see with most people when they write CVs is they write by just listing responsibilities. So for instance, stakeholder management. I was in charge of managing stakeholders, providing them with communication updates around the project. Now, if you wanted to write in your CV, the way that your CV was marketable, you write it rather this way: stakeholder management. Increase stakeholder engagement by 30%. The result of my stakeholder management framework piece that enabled us to have a customized approach to managing our different diverse group of stakeholders. So I'm giving you an example of the difference between just putting a responsibility and just showing it as a mundane thing, and within your CV now also actually reflecting the value that makes your CV stand out. So there's a lot of work to do on the CV, and sometimes you by yourself cannot look at your CV. It's just like when you're proofreading, you keep looking at something, you do not see any error. It's better when you have someone else that looks through your CV but is an expert at this and has been within the industry, has been a PM, has been within project management, is a PMO manager. Someone that has all that experience will be able to look and say what a recruiter would be looking at, because a recruiter would certainly be someone that is within a senior PM role within project management, and it's with that pair of eyes they'll look at your CV. So you're updating your CV is the fourth step. You're building it out. You're making sure it's marketable. The fifth thing I would say is to start to build on your experience. So some of you are already doing volunteering, which is good. That's a good way around it. You can also do online. You can try and get experience by project simulations. You can also get practical work experience that you get when you do the training. So when you join the Accelerate training, you get practical work experience for a few couple of months. Why is it important to build that experience is sometimes not until you start doing something can you be able to relate to it. So it's good to have that bit of practical experience. No matter how short it is, it still makes you more confident at interview, because now working with the project would be different from just knowing about it, because now you're sitting down and you're practicing what you've learned and what you've assimilated. Now, after you've got the experience that you've built, it can be a small amount of experience. There are many options to getting this experience. You can get it through joining a practical training, get the work experience that we offer at the Accelerate Academy. We offer that. You can do volunteering, but volunteering is not very common within project management. You see volunteering, but it's always charity related. And I'll be honest with you, charity sector is a really poor sector in terms of pay. If you want to become a project manager as well, I would advise you make sure that you are pitching for the right industry. You're looking at industries where they are spending money on tech and digital transformation. You're not looking at industries where it's the C-suite that get most of the pay, and that's charity sector. The people in the higher part of the organizational chart get more money than the junior ones. So I wouldn't be looking to become a project manager in a charity. So I'm just making you guys aware that if some of you are if you're doing voluntary work within an industry that is not beneficial just for the sake of getting a project management experience, it might be good, but it might then shift your experience to be within one industry that is not as competitive. Because when people see your CV, they're trying to match your industry as well. Oh, she's worked in charity sector. This role is for someone in banking sector. We prefer someone that has a bit of the banking experience. So just be aware of that. After building up your experience and getting some of that, getting like a 3 months practical work experience thing, or you've done some freelancing where you've managed projects for people, you then start to search for your job. You start to go for interviews. And I think the key thing about interviewing is for project management jobs and project management professionals, they're looking for the questions are usually competency based, technical and non-technical, and they want you to answer it with scenarios. They want you to give examples. So how do you bring that to life? How do you start to search for jobs? And how do you go to interviews and bring it to life? I'll quickly just throw it to all of you to give your opinion on, okay, if I go for a project management interview now, this is what I'll do. This is what I would be able to say. I just want you to see your comments. You feel like if you had interviews in the next month, you'll be able to give an example when they say, because they'll ask you examples. They ask examples. One of the most common one is, can you tell me where you've dealt with a difficult stakeholder? What do you say in that kind of interview? They want you to give an example, a situation, the task, the action, and the result. What do you say in that kind of situation? How ready are you for interviews? Would say what you need in terms of your development. If right now you feel you're really ready, you could give very relatable examples and scenarios at your interview, then perhaps you don't need a practical training. But if you know that you really cannot bring this to life, then you really need to get something. You need to do something that brings these scenarios to life for you easier. And how can you do that? By joining a practical training. Now, I know we have a few minutes and we're meant to be ending in exactly 10 minutes, but we've kind of had to run a bit slower because of my cold. I think that's one thing, because I've had to take a few breaks here and there, a few pauses here and there. But I'm still looking at the comment section. I'm looking out to see your responses on how you're feeling about starting this project management career. What do you think you want to do to get to where you want to get to? And do you think you're ready? When do you think you'll be ready? So I'm just looking out for responses in the chat. So Oluwatofubi, okay. Oluwatofubi wants to know how they would assess the Accelerate program. I think what we're going to get is can Akintunde or Lolade or Tayo or Tokwe, are you able to share the enrollment form here? If you please share the enrollment form on the chat. If not, I could just quickly share it. There's an enrollment form if you want to join the Accelerate Academy. The next cohort is going to start 3rd of February, and it's a 5-week program. We go through all of this. We go through practical things. We build your CV together. We have mock interview sessions where you are in front of other project managers and project management professionals, and they just shape you and support you towards your own interviewing journey. If you wanted to join the next Accelerate program, you can just fill out the enrollment form. So I'm just going to share the enrollment form here. I'll just share the enrollment form in the chat. Oh, okay. I see that Tayo has also shared the enrollment form. Thank you. Yes, it can be details around the cost. Tofobi says she's unable to access the charts. You're only able to see the screen and the polls. And Oluwatofobi, you want the form. I've sent it to you directly for the enrollment form. You should be able to see it now. Please let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you've seen it. So we're seeing more people that have been able to see the enrollment form. Sure, absolutely. Oh, great, great. So going back to the fact that, yes, I think what I was looking out for in the chat as well was what you guys are doing now to get to that goal of becoming a project manager. What are you doing to become a project manager? You know, what are you doing to achieve that goal? What are you doing to become a project management professional? I'm just waiting now to get the answers so that we just move on to our last segment, which is the Q&A session. And that's an interesting session. So I would really want us to get to it as soon as we can. But I want to know, because I really wanted us to come for this session and leave this session with a plan, or if not a plan for a plan. You know, I've been sitting on this for long. I want to become a project management professional. What am I actually doing? What is my action? So at the back of this training, this webinar rather, what do you plan to do? I know some of you have said that you want to generate cohort for February. We have another cohort in March. So for people that don't think they can join the February one, you can join the March one as well. But what have you taken away in terms of your plan? Just sitting through this webinar for the last couple of minutes. Like, what do you plan to do? Just write 2 things that you plan to do around making this project management professional dream a reality. So I'm just waiting for your answers to come true. Okay. I'm just waiting for answers to come true, and I've seen answers. There are a few people that say they cannot see the chat. You can only view the screens. Isaac would like to be enrolled for the Accelerate Academy. Okay, Isaac, I have sent you the link to the enrollment form. Please just give a thumbs up if you've seen it now. So it can be, you're saying you haven't done much, but you just thought about it, you attended some sessions, and you are reviewing your experience and skill. Okay, that's good. It's good that you were thinking, but I think what I want to set people's mind to, and in Kemi, will depend on how long you've been sitting on this. I've met people that have sat on it for too much longer than they need to, because you need to start to get the actions done. And I always tell people we have to work with a plan. You have to work with an objective, because if you want to become a project manager, even in your personal life, you have to start to apply these principles. You want to become a project manager, outside of being at the early stages where you are initiating, you have to start mapping out a plan. How will I really make this happen? I want to be a project manager by this time next year. How will I work back to make this happen? Appy is joining. Yeah, Appy is one of the candidates that is joining the February cohort. So that's one of the things she's doing. She's getting more involved. I know there's a question around, is the training enough for someone to write PMP? The training is good enough for you to get a good foundation into the PMP exam. But when you're preparing for your PMP exam, it's a lot more. It's a lot more in terms of reading and looking at the requirements. I've done a few certifications, and I know that, you know, the training for those certifications is quite specific to it. So it's enough to build your foundation. it's not enough to write the exam. If you want to write the exam, you have to be ready to invest in yourself to get trained around the PMP certification. When I did my certifications, because I'm Prince2 certified, I am Agile certified, I have got something called Managing Successful Programs. That's a program level certification. I got trained, I went for training before sitting for my exams, right? So in terms of whether this training equates to getting you ready for PMP exam, no, but it does give you that good, good foundation. Okay, so the other questions, learning path. Okay, there are a few questions. Okay, right. Oh, okay, this is the questions to just crack into the question and answer segment. Okay, all right, we'll just do that now. I think for everybody else that has not put anything around, you don't put anything around what you're doing now, please do put it. I'm still going through the chat to see that. So straight on to questions and answers. Yes, I've seen a lot of questions around enrollment for the Accelerate program. Please just fill out the enrollment form. What we've done as well is that we've heavily discounted the fee for people that have joined this webinar. And so if when the enrollment form comes through, we would know people that have come via this webinar, and that discount will be applied. And we would be reaching out to people as well that have enrolled, just to have that initial consultation and to discuss costs and all of that. Right. So Oluwatofunmi, I think we've already shared the enrollment form. You have that. So I think we all have the link to the enrollment form, so we can enroll as we want. So straight into questions and answers, right? So question. I think the first question I'm seeing is the training enough? Okay, I've answered that. Is the training enough for you to write a PMP? No, it gets you certified. It gives you a foundation, but it doesn't, you don't get certified for just attending the Accelerate Academy. It gives you that good foundation. Now, if you want to write PMP, how much experience do you have that you want to write PMP? For me, I think when we want to go through this step by step, let's not walk before we crawl. That's what I will always suggest. If you want to do the PMP exam, that should be a planning view that you want to do. But now you should be looking at the now. What do you need to do to have a good foundation? Now, I'm only answering this person assuming that you are not already in project management. If you're already in project management, then absolutely go for getting certified and getting that PMP. But if not, be looking at the foundation. It's a good foundation for you to write your exam. What learning path would you advise a master's graduate in project management to register for? I'm trying to understand what you mean learning path. If whoever wrote that question, if you can just put in the comment box exactly what you meant when you mean learning path. For recent master's graduates, a lot of times what you learn in uni does not translate into the practical examples and practical knowledge that you need to land a job. So I always tell recent graduates, it's good you're fresh with your project management degree. It helps you to be quite comfortable and confident with the lingua, with the language. But in terms of now being able to come to interview and just speak about project management very practically in ways that people understand, I would suggest that you get trained. You do hands-on training where you get examples, you get a lot of coursework, you get the guidance and structure as well. Because as a graduate, you're used to that structure. So now you want to continue with that structure in terms of getting to where you want to be. So that's what I would suggest. But please correct me around what you mean around learning party if I didn't get that well. Oh yes, I forgot to cover this. The Accelerate Academy, when you do the, you do the 5 weeks training and you do the we support you with CV writing and with interviews. We also provide an interview cheat sheet. The interview cheat sheet basically has the questions and answers that are asked in a project management professional interview. It gives you practical examples, actually scenarios, not just answer this question this way. No, it actually gives you examples you could use at interviews. And part of the Accelerate Academy is that you get the end-to-end process. So you start from the training and the end result is a job or a job offer. So for you to get that job offer, we have to support you with providing references as well. We would be providing work references when you come on the Accelerate Academy. In terms of cover letter, we support with cover letters and with CVs as well. We always make sure that the CVs are very marketable. So most of the candidates that go on our training, once their CV goes live, they're getting calls from multiple recruiters and agencies because their CV stands out. For me, your CV must not be like all the other CVs. It must stand out. There must be something different because now you have one job role and you have 100 people applying for a job. You always have to look to stand out. For Noye that wanted a certificate for attending this webinar, you absolutely can get that. Are you able to just reach out via, I don't know if we shared our Instagram handle. Please share the Instagram handle, Topper, if you're there, just for anybody that wants to follow us on Instagram. But Noye, if you can just reach out on Instagram with your email address, we can then send you the certificate of attendance. I think there's another question around sharing some of the YouTube channels. Absolutely, we would share that as part of the follow-on materials along with some of the links that we've shared today, just in case people missed it in the chat. We will share that via email. There's a question around, do I know of any company that offers voluntary roles for PM? There are not a lot. Most of them that offer are charity sector and they're not loads within that sector. Because project management itself is quite a niche skill. It's not really there's not a lot of voluntary opportunity. Do you get what I mean? Because it's a niche skill. There's not a lot of project managers that will volunteer. So that's why you won't see that. You will see a lot of project management volunteer roles. You get what I mean? But in terms of volunteering roles, I think this is someone asking because they're trying to get experience. Your way around that might be to actually get a practical training and get that work experience with that practical training. That way you are getting the experience if the voluntary roles are not coming forth. There's another question around corporate governance versus project management. Nkem, what was your question exactly? What's my thoughts? But I want to know exactly where your head is when you're talking about that. Were you going to go into corporate governance and then now you're thinking about project management? Is that why? I'm just waiting for Nkem's response. Okay, next question while I wait for Nkem's response is, when you are an incidental PM, so you have worked in a project coordinator role for 2 years and you have certification in project management. Okay, you have certification in project management. I'm not sure which question this is, but the person that asked for a link to the enrollment form, if Lolade or Tayo or Akintunde can share the link to the enrollment form, please. So you already have this experience, which is good because you're an incidental PM. But and you have some certification, which is even better. My advice for you would be to, so right now you are nearly there in terms of being able to translate project management, but you are not fully there. So the option might be for you to just launch yourself as you are with the experience that you have. But the danger of that is not getting it right and then having to go through rejections. So what I'll advise you would be to get structure around what you need to do, where the gaps are. So let's say now we've ticked, you have the experience that we can transfer to your CV. You have certifications that would fly on your CV. Now, do you have, as you're an incidental PM, you still don't know everything about PM, so you still need that knowledge. So I suggest that you attend a practical, you join, if you want to join the Accelerate Academy, for instance, it'll be a good one for you because you're already doing this in your previous job. It's easy to translate that into a CV. But I think for interviewing, what will help you would be for you to have, and that's what you gain from the Accelerate Academy, you'll be able to get more relatable examples that you can now adapt to what you've done before, and then you can say that at interview. So I think for you is just making sure that you land the interviews, and for you to land the interviews, definitely suggest going for joining the training. The next training is February 3rd. I think I've mentioned that. So if you're interested in that, it would be a good one to join. I don't know what your timelines are, but it's very important we have a timeline around where we want to achieve this. In terms of the cost of the training, I don't think I've said anything about that, but I think I shared it on the chat. The training basically is usually £999, so you could just say £1,000. But for this webinar, we've put a discounted amount. So if you sign up tonight, and for the people that come for the webinar, if you sign up tonight, probably on the call or when we get off the call, you get discounted, so you get to pay a fraction of that amount. So you get, I think, £250 reduction. So instead of £1,000, you get to pay £750. So you're considering corporate governance in KEM. In KEM, have you done an analysis in terms of just maybe even a mind map, put corporate governance, put project management, and see the opportunities, see the pros, see the cons. Project management takes you anywhere. If you wanted to relocate to the US, project management will take you there. For some people, they're looking for sponsorship. Project management will take you there. Is corporate governance a niche? Do you get? Is he a sought after, in demand skill? I wouldn't think so, right? It's corporate, but is it in demand? So when I'm thinking corporate governance, I'm thinking of it as continuous, right? And there's loads of people in corporate governance. When I'm thinking of project management, I'm thinking of top companies willing to spend money on the right skill to make sure their projects are successful. The other thing that I'll be looking at is the progression. What's your progression in corporate governance compared to project management? The fact that with project management, you can then move into, you're doing different things. You're able to move around different projects. So you never get dull. Corporate governance gets mundane. It becomes mundane because you're doing the same thing. You're doing the same desk job. But with project management, you get to maybe work 6 months on this kind of project or 1 year, and then you move to another project. And every project is different because every project is unique. So I would be more inclined to go for project management just because I enjoy doing varied things. I don't like doing mundane tasks every day. So it's more about your personality. I'm looking if there's any questions I've missed. Please, if there's any questions I've missed, please just drop it in the chat. I know we're a few minutes over in terms of time, but I don't want to miss any questions. If there are no questions, I'm just going through very quickly. Any other questions? If we've not picked up your question, please put it in the chat. And I'll just answer it quickly. But I think I've answered most of them. Someone says, I do not have a Prince 2 certification. Can you still become a project manager? Absolutely. You don't need the certification now. You need practical training. You need to sign up for a practical training, right? So instead of thinking towards a Prince 2, I would suggest you know, for instance, for people that started with us, they've done the practical training. And after they've done the training with us, they landed job, then they got their Prince 2 certification. I would always advise to go that way. I've already answered the question around providing work references, and we would support you both with your CV and your LinkedIn profile as well as your cover letter. Okay, so there are a few more questions. So I'll just take about 3 more questions and then we would close. I'm trying to look through the questions, but I haven't seen new questions, except I'm missing it. So please, if there's any new questions. Right, okay. So we're exactly 8:45. I didn't want to hold us up. If we have any questions, please send it to Instagram via DM. I'm happy to answer you offline. Some of you might have questions that you're not able to share now. I'm also happy for some of you would want to have a one-to-one with me. I'm happy to have a consultation with you, a 15-minute consultation. That usually is something I charge for. I'm happy to do that for people that come on this call for free. Please, if you're interested in the consultation, just put in the chat box so that we can know how we would arrange that. So for anybody that is interested in the consultation, you have more questions, you know, or you have something very particular about your current situation, please just put in the chat box that you are interested in a consultation, a 15 minutes consultation session. So someone is interested in a 15-minute consultation session. I would just ask if Topper can make note of the people that are interested in a consultation session. So well done for the people that have put their email. That's really helpful. Samuel, if you can drop your email as well around wanting a consultation. Some other people have said that. So Adiza said stability, but I'm not sure what that comment is about. So if you can just confirm for me. Someone said, Olufemi, you've taken a project management course. You are looking for a practical project to help you and help with your CV and other things. So you've taken, so Olufemi, I want to understand, you've taken a course, which is good, it's helping your knowledge. You need something practical so that you can bring your CV to life and you can be able to bring this out at interview. So you would benefit from joining the Accelerate program. I definitely suggest that to you, Olufemi, if it's not something you're thinking of, but you're already taking the steps. It's just to now actually have the structure so that it helps you get to be exactly where you want to be. So some of you here want to become project managers next year. If, for instance, you want to take that long, then you probably want to take your time, right? But if you're looking at, oh, actually, I have responsibilities, I have plans, I have family plans, I have goals, I want to do this by this time, then absolutely just look through those steps and follow the steps. Just have a plan for following those steps. And some of the plans will be what some of you are already doing. Some of the plans would mean that you need to invest in yourself and then join the Accelerate program. So Olufemi, I hope I've answered that question around, support with CV. With CVs, what really surprises me is a lot of people miss out on good CV support. One thing I can vouch for is that your CV will be so marketable by the time it goes through the Accelerate Academy. Because that's the key thing. After doing all the training and getting all the practical experience and knowledge, you need to sell yourself. You need to get that support. You need to have someone holding your hands. And that's what we'll be doing with you. Adiza asks, is there any career prospect of staying with a company for a long time instead of contracting from one project to another? Or let me explain this to you. So when you become a project management professional within an organization, right? You stay within the organization. You don't move around the organization. You don't need to go. So there are two routes. You can become a project manager or a project management professional, say a PMO analyst, a project coordinator. You can do that and decide to contract. When you're contracting, you are earning a day rate of 300 to 500 a day. For some junior roles, you're earning 250 a day. You can decide to contract, or you can decide to just go for as a permanent employee of the company. Now, Adiza, when you're a permanent employee of a company, they don't move you around the company. What you do is you move around different projects within the company. You move around different projects within the organization. So say you're working for Barclays now, they'll move you around different digital transformation projects if that's the kind of projects you've worked on. So you are with the same company actually. So there's stability in terms of work stability. What even makes it even better, the icing on the cake is you get to move around, you get to work in different projects, you get to network with a lot more people during your lifetime, during your career lifetime. So that's something I really enjoy, and that's a good thing about it. So you will be with the company for a long time. You will just move around the company in terms of the different projects. It came out another question. Yes, you can do project management without a degree. A degree helps, right? You see some adverts, they write, some job adverts, they write, but most of the white people that I've worked with, like when I mean white people, I mean British people born and bred here. Some of them they don't have any degrees. Let's say that people from minority background are quite more academic, and so most of us have degrees. For them, they go through the basic education and they get work experience. The key focus is on your experience rather than your degree. My degree, I've never had to use it since I've been doing it. No one has ever asked me for my master's degree. After toiling and getting a distinction, I've never used it since I've done project management. So your degree is not that important. It's being able to interpret and to able to reflect that in your CV, that you have that practical experience. You have that hands-on experience that you'll get if you go for the if you join the Accelerate training. All right, so I think I've covered a lot of the questions. I wish we had all the time, but I really need to consider people that have got family. Please, if you have any more questions, please drop us a DM on Instagram. We've put our Instagram handles. Some people are interested in consultation. So if I would ask that, Olufemi, please, can you put your email address as well? Tokwe and Akitunde, can you please just make a note of all the people that need consultation? Patients need consultation. Can you put your email address, please? It would really help us to be able to reach out. Oluwadamilare, you would like a consultation. Please, people have dropped the emails. We will pick up the emails, and I would, we would be in touch around the slots. We would send our booking. There's a booking system we use where you can book a slot. The slots are usually paid for, but for the people that have come on this call, there will be an exception. All right, guys, I would say that it's time to kind of close the call. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. The dates for our next webinar, we've got a few more webinars coming up, and we've got the Accelerate training coming up as well. So I just want to close with core messages that I want you to take away. Project management and becoming a project management professional is not far away from you. All you need to do is have a plan around it and actually work on it. Invest in yourself, spend money in yourself. If you want to move careers and you want to, you're looking for a better life, better career opportunities and growth financially and all of that, be ready to spend your money and your time on yourself. I'm just going to quickly share the screen and we will close. I'm just going to share the key dates. So if anybody's interested in the future webinars, please just look at the dates here and make a note. The dates also show when we have our academy in the future. The first one starts on the 3rd of February. And if you want to sign up for that, please fill out the enrollment form. Once you fill out the enrollment form, we would get in touch with you to discuss around payment and all the other discussions around joining. And we have another academy that is running in March. So please just make a note and reach out by email and by our social media, and you can DM us and just let us know your interest. Thank you so much for your time. I did have a good time on this on this webinar. It was very interactive and there was a lot of people with good questions and suggestions. Thank you, Oluwatofunmi. Thank you, Inkem. Really appreciate it. And we've got all of the emails we want. We'll be reaching out to you over the next couple of days to share the booking platform so that you can get that consultation that you've requested. All right, thank you so much. And it's a good night for me. I'm going to try and get some rest. And I could just really say thank you. It was a really good time. I am looking forward to working with some of you. Some of you are signed up for the Accelerate Academy. I'm looking forward to working with you. For the people that are still unclear, I want that consultation, that one-to-one time. I'm also looking forward to talking to you. All right, have a good night. Thank you. Bye.